Welcome to the Hormones in Harmony podcast. I'm your host, Vivian Allred, former chronic illness sufferer turned trusted health practitioner. My passion is helping people to identify and address the root causes of their symptoms through my online business, Viva Natural Health. If you're struggling with confusing or stubborn symptoms that just won't go away despite your best efforts, then you're in the right place. If I can heal from a long list of symptoms and conditions, including cystic acne, hair loss, severe food reactions, and brain fog, then you can heal too. Stay tuned for weekly episodes that share expert guest interviews, Q&A, and solo episodes that are all intended to help you wherever you're at on your healing journey. The information shared on this podcast is intended for educational purposes only and is not designed to replace the advice of your health practitioner. That said, let's get into today's episode. Wow, guys, this feels so weird right now. I am back for another season of episodes on the Hormones in Harmony podcast. My goal is to continue teaching you how to take care of your body and educate you on some of the common root causes driving chronic symptoms these days. If you are a return listener, thank you for your ongoing support and for coming back for a bigger and better season of the podcast. And if you're new here, hello, welcome. Last season, which ran for about 3 years, so I didn't expect to have a break. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but that was still packed with so much information, educational episodes. I would highly recommend still going back and listening to that over time because there's 150 episodes, so at least 150 hours in the archives. But if you didn't know, I've not released an episode since December 2021. I didn't know if it was going to be a complete break, the end of the podcast, or if I just wanted to have a bit of time off. So I left it a bit open-ended, but I was just feeling a little bit uninspired in terms of business. I've been running weekly episodes and putting a lot of effort into that podcast for, like I said, 3 years. And I just wanted to, now that I'm healthy, live my life and not spend as much time having to sit behind my computer and record. So I had the luxury, and I'm very grateful that I can be flexible with my hours. And running your own business, you have that degree of flexibility, which is amazing. But I just wanted to get out there and enjoy myself. So I coasted a little bit in work, and I'm going to cover this a little bit more as we go through, but also throughout this season of the podcast, because I think it's important to listen to those nudges that you get. And in human design, if you know what that is, that was an episode that I did in the last season. I'll link below, but I'm a generator, which is the most common human design profile. But I really need to follow my intuition. And within my chart, what I did, it shows that I have a sacral authority, meaning that my gut feeling is really strong and I need to listen to that. And with work, if I'm into something, if I'm excited, if I'm following my passions and my desires, I could work nonstop all day, every day, 12-hour days, and it would actually give me energy. Whereas if I'm doing something that I'm not 100% excited about, or it's the wrong thing, or I've gotten a little bit bored of something, then switching that up can make a big difference. And when I'm working, even though I might be doing 6 hours a day instead of 12, it's just exhausting and it can really drain me. So not that I hated the podcast, like I love doing it and I got to meet so many people, but I feel like I ran out of ideas for episodes because there were so many deep dives that I covered subjects for up to an hour and a half. And I covered all of the basic things. But when I started as well, I've completely changed who I am as a person, physically, spiritually, all those things. Because when I first started that podcast, which was in January 2019, I was still working part-time at, if you're in the UK, Sainsbury's, so a supermarket, a grocery store. I was just working in customer service. That was my first proper job when I left school, and I had no idea what was going to come with my career. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. when I first started there, but when I set up the podcast, I had been in practice as a nutritionist for 1 to 2 years, I think, at that point. I qualified in 2017, and I had so many chronic symptoms still. And people get put off if they're a student or a practitioner now, thinking that they can't educate and teach if they're still in the thick of it. But I managed to do it, and I actually believe that my podcast and me continuing researching and sharing actually helped me to heal, because I got to connect with so many people, and podcast gave me so much information. When I would listen to other people's in my health journey, I would just spend all day sometimes listening to podcasts and YouTube videos and reading books. And even though I had that base education from the college that I studied at, this is really where I got a lot of my education, and what I know now is through different people's podcasts. So I want to continue sharing that with those of you out there, because I know sometimes what I say is a little bit different to the mainstream health advice, in terms of eating like lots of salads and having this really clean diet all of the time, because I'm going to go into the deep stuff like emotional trauma, parasite infections, heavy metals, environment, and mold, because all of these things are a huge factor. And if you're doing well, if you're really healthy, then maybe you don't need to do any more deep dives or work on your health. Maybe you're in this maintenance phase. But if you're someone who's really struggling, I honestly believe that the things that I'm talking about are the areas that you need to investigate. These are the real root causes of chronic illness. So since December 2021, when I released that last episode, which was a Q&A, so it was with my podcast editor, Kira. She interviewed me, and it was a bit of a fun episode just to reflect on everything that I'd learned, and to give you guys a chance to get to know me and ask your questions. There's been so much that's happened in the past year. I can't believe how fast it's gone, number one. But there's been so many things happening in the world, but also in my personal life. And I was giving life updates last season, but this season round, I want to be sharing so many more. I just feel more comfortable and confident talking about these things, whereas before it was having a lot of other people sharing the knowledge and thoughts, which is great. And I want to still have guests on, but it's going to be a bit of a flip. Last time I had mainly guest experts, and then me, a solo episode every month or so. It's probably going to be the other way around this time. There's still going to be amazing guests on, but like I said, I feel like I've covered the basic subjects in depth before. So now we're going to do more fun episodes. There's going to be certain subjects, still deep dives, but more actionable tips, more solo episodes, me sharing more about my experience, my healing journey, my personal life, my current life, a bit of a mixture. I've already recorded some great episodes for this season. Currently it is October 2022. So I'm already recording and just trying to get ahead. And it's still going to be weekly episodes, which is amazing. I love having that. My Virgo mind likes having a structure and a schedule. So yeah, it's going to be every Monday, like last time. You're going to get a new episode every single week. Okay, so since I last updated you all on here, which was probably that final episode, I might have given you a few updates, but probably I'll go in a bit of a timeline now from January 2022 onwards. So January 2022, I went through a breakup, and that was quite difficult for a few months. I'd been living with that partner for a few months, but ultimately it's for the best. And yeah, it's truly like a blessing in disguise. But our core desires just didn't match, but we only got to notice that when we were living together. So it was a little bit stressful that we'd got to the point where we were living together and then it just didn't work. But I think in order to know someone fully, you have to see them in the day-to-day when they're not like on their best behavior, or it's at the weekend where you're really excited to see each other. You want to see what they're like after work, after a hard day, or when they are maybe not feeling great, or just when they have spent a lot of time with you. You have to see how they respond to some of those things. And yeah, just you get to know them when they're a little bit more relaxed in their environment. So we were living together, and I did feel sad and a bit heartbroken for a few months, but I also wasn't feeling really inspired business-wise for that reason. So I just stuck with my one-on-ones for that time, and that's been a consistent thing since I set up practice. My one-on-ones have been the main offering that I have. They've helped, they're obviously amazing and helped so many people. So I really prioritize that and making sure that my clients are cared for, and I'm emailing them and supporting them in that process. Whereas things like social media and obviously the podcast got put on the back burner because I didn't really feel inspired to be chatting about that because I was going through like a difficult time. But I started online dating again. So I met my last boyfriend online because it was during the pandemic and lockdowns and all of that. So regular ways of meeting people was a bit more difficult. But there's pros and cons to online dating. If you've ever been on the apps, then you know that it can be pretty bad sometimes. And this was maybe at the end of March, start of April. I don't know, looking back, if it was too soon. But I was going on a few dates and was honestly ready to delete them in April time. But because I knew that I had my holiday coming up in May. I was going to Madeira, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But I just thought, I've got a couple more matches here. Let's just see how they go. And one of them ended up being a success story because we're now in a relationship. And by the time you're listening to this, we would have been living together for a couple of months. So, which is a long story and it might seem a little bit crazy. You're like, oh God, what are you doing again? But I'm hoping to get my boyfriend Luke on the podcast as well as a guest, because he's a little bit more into personal development and he's on his own health journey at the moment. He's struggling with chronic pain. Let me know if you'd like that. He said he's up for it, but he might change his mind. So online dating, I think we both said this as well. We both got to the point where we were like a little bit over it, honestly, but we went on this date. Maybe I'll do a full in-depth episode either with Luke or on my own about how our approaches to dating like really have changed over the years. But our first date was going swimming, which was really fun. We went wild swimming in a lake and we had the best time. But I think it's because we both got to the point where we weren't really like we didn't think it was like super important to get into a relationship. We were a little bit sick of dating at that point, and we were both a little bit kind of over it at that stage. I think that's why it probably worked out, because we weren't overthinking it and we weren't like super anxious or anything prior to the date. So I've been all loved up the past few months, which is very cute and exciting. But rewinding again a bit, I had my braces off in May, a couple of days before my holiday to Madeira. So I went to Madeira because I originally had a trip planned with my ex to Croatia in May, and I chose Croatia initially. It was never somewhere that I would want to go to straight away. But I've not had the jabs. So I was limited at the time of booking as to where I could go without having them. So Croatia was on the list of unrestricted places, but because of the breakup, obviously the trip got cancelled. We got the money refunded. We lost a few £100s each, which was annoying, but I still wanted to go on holiday. So I booked a solo trip, which was honestly amazing. 10 out of 10, loved every single minute. I went for a week and it literally felt like a rebirth. I'm going to do an entire episode on that trip because there's so much that I want to say and share. But because of the braces removal around that time, I also noticed a huge reduction in my histamine reactions. So if you follow my journey, you know that I developed mast cell activation syndrome, really severe histamine intolerance. So having my braces off actually made a big difference, which I'm going to share a little bit more on the future as well. So like I said, there's so many revelations and silver linings and like me looking back at hindsight, just putting the puzzle pieces together as to what's helped the most in my health journey, because honestly I feel better than I ever have, which is crazy. And it's been a journey, but the summer that I had in 2022 was amazing. I was spending it mainly with my boyfriend. We really got into wild swimming because that's what we did on the first date. He was really into it before, things like Wim Hof and breath work and cold water therapy. You might have seen pictures that I shared on my monthly email newsletter or social media. The links for those are in the show notes if you're not already following along. And that is the best way to keep up with me outside of the podcast. I went camping a couple of times, which I haven't done since I was a teenager. I've only been once as a teenager and I didn't have the best experience. But since going again as an adult and someone who's more appreciative of nature now, and I really like the connection that you get to the earth and the minimalist vibes. So I did enjoy camping, even though one of the times the weather was like terrible. It was like torrential rain and wind. That was the first time I went with my boyfriend. He was like, if you can survive that, then that was pretty horrific, so you can go again. And then the next time we went, it was amazing. We watched the stars. It was really dry and had the best time. I've also been to the Lake District a few times this year. It's one of my favorite places in the UK for nature and the swimming and going on nice hikes. I went on my annual family holiday to Cornwall in July, and it's amazing how different you can feel after getting some proper sunlight and a tan, swimming in the sea. Nature really does heal all. So I feel like I've had such a good year, and especially the summer was amazing. We had some really good weather in the UK as well. I released my mold recovery course in early September, and that's something that I was working on for quite a long time. And I am so proud of that because it's probably my most important course. And it's a subject that's very close to my heart. If you know my journey with mold toxicity, it was a huge factor for me. It's something that was keeping me sick for so long. So I created this self-paced course as something that I wish I had, and the information I wish I knew, either before I found out about mold or when I was just struggling with health issues. I cover access, I give you access to lab testing to figure out if it's affecting your body, the science on how it's affecting the body, signs and symptoms you might be being exposed, how to detox safely and effectively using diet changes, supplements, and lifestyle tools. And honestly, creating that course really inspired me again to make more offers like that. And my goal is to release more lower cost and accessible courses, webinars, and group programs to help reach more of you out there. I only have a limited number of hours in a day, and I know that so many of you are struggling and want my help. So that is business-wise, the direction that it's going to be going. Less of the one-on-ones. I'm still taking them on at the moment, but there might come a point where I either have a break or stop offering that. So if you're interested, then definitely hop on now while it's still an option currently. But you'll see more offers being released at a lower cost, which is obviously ideal for so many of you who can't afford the one-on-ones for whatever reason. I turned 28 on the 20th of September. Yes, I am a Virgo and can relate to most of the traits with that sign. I had the best time with family and friends, and I felt so grateful and still am that I am now happy and healthy and able to enjoy my birthday for once. For so many years, I couldn't make plans, or I didn't want to. I didn't have the energy to do so. I felt so self-conscious about my skin and my body and my hair loss that I just locked myself inside. And I'd lost a lot of friends along the way because I just wasn't going out or messaging them back because I was just so withdrawn and obsessed with trying to get healthy again. So now I can actually enjoy my birthday. And I'm never someone who dislikes aging. I actually feel better and more comfortable with myself the older that I get. I also look back on some pictures from previous birthdays and I look like a different person. So not only internally am I a different person, externally, if you've seen on my Instagram, I did like a before and after over the past few years, specifically healing from mold. I look so sick and inflamed. My eyes look dead on the old ones. So it's, even though I didn't want to take pictures at the time because I was so self-conscious about what I look like, it's a really good reminder to take pictures and document your journey. When I finished my mold course, I started immediately working on my group coaching program right away. And that kicked off in October. It's called the I'm Balanced Group Coaching Program. And what's included, basically, you get a mineral test, a HTMA, which is my favorite functional lab test. And I teach you how to interpret your results. So there's no one-on-ones included in this. It is an option to upgrade at the moment. But everything for you as a client is online on my online software called Kajabi. And there's videos in there that teach you how to read the report properly, because you have to learn how to interpret the test before you just like look at it and see something that's high or low. And this will allow you to keep testing yourself in the future, even without my help and support. And this test is amazing because it looks at the full body and what's going on with your minerals, but also heavy metals. So when your minerals are off, you're not going to have this cellular energy to heal or ovulate or make neurotransmitters or detox. Every single system in the body runs off minerals as the cofactors. I've had so many clients come to me for support because they've been to all of these different practitioners, they've done all of these fancy stool tests, urine tests, genetics, and they still have something like chronic fatigue. I then run the minerals, because I do that with every new one-on-one client, and they've got really imbalanced minerals, and that's been missing the whole time. So the mineral course contains that, and then there's going to be a live aspect to the call as well. So we have live Zoom calls. This might change the structure a tiny bit based on feedback, because I'm currently running the beta test at the end of 2022. There's a group of ladies going through it currently. But if you are interested and you want that component just to connect with me and other women in the community and all support each other and heal together, and learn about how to take care of your body and the best ways to exercise and which supplements are going to be good and how to live a more healthy, low stress, non-toxic lifestyle, then this is going to be an ongoing course, hopefully in the new year in 2023. And yeah, I'm going to take an enrollment every few months for that. So you can sign up to the wait list in the show notes, and you'll be notified when the next round goes live early this year. Finally, for now, when recording this in October 2022, I'm updating my PCOS Success online course, which was initially released in February 2020, which also feels like a lifetime ago, because now I'm hosting on a different platform, Kajabi, which I love, and I hope to have all of my offers on there in one place, because it's such a convenient platform for you guys, and there's an app that you can view and learn from on the go. It should be out now in January. If you're listening to this later, then just check my website and you'll see if it is or isn't. And if you've already signed up for this in the past, you'll automatically be grandfathered into this new and improved version. This is something that I'm going to be doing in the future for any other offers that I have, because as new research comes out or as I get even more clinical experience, it's important for me to adapt and stay up with the latest information and share this knowledge with you guys. So whether it's the mold course, the minerals, the PCOS course, my current offers, or future ones, you'll always be updated if there's any changes over the years. So that's a bit of a business update. If you were wondering what's going to be coming and what I currently have available, those are the options, along with my one-on-one packages that we've been working together for 3 to 6 months on those. All information will be in the show notes. So back to life stuff. My boyfriend moved in, like I'm recording this before it actually happens, so if all goes to plan, he moved in October 2022, and we're planning on a bit of a chilled Christmas and New Year. And same business wise, I want to slow down a little bit throughout the winter months, because we can't be on and productive all year round. I'm really trying to embrace this, as it's really important when you're a more sensitive individual, maybe you've been prone to health issues in the past, and or you're a business owner. That's something that I'm working on personally. But after some reflection and therapy, I realized something about myself is that I don't like personally resting or slowing down too much, because it reminds me of when I was ill and not able to do anything that I wanted to. So I think my body is trying to protect me from that, and it avoids it as much as possible, which obviously is counterproductive, because if I don't rest, then I'm going to end up sick at some point. But I'm never going to be back where I was. That is an important point, but I just wanted to mention that. As the podcast goes on this next season, you'll probably hear more of me sharing my deep thoughts and traumas with you all. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to delve deeper into things like this, because I use this podcast as a kind of diary. I'm so glad I did this in the last few years with the season 1 as well, because I get to watch and listen back to my health journey and discoveries that I've made along the way. And I'm so grateful that I did that. As time consuming and as much as sometimes I didn't want to, but I knew I had an episode to go live, I know it helps so many of you too when I hear messages from you all. And when I was that person who was struggling with health issues and I heard people sharing what they're going through, especially as a health practitioner, I used to think that I had to be in perfect health to coach other people, but I've worked this whole time and managed to change and transform people's lives even when I wasn't feeling 100% myself, because no one is 100% healthy and you don't have to be in prime health to share some education with someone else. That's something that I tell other students and practitioners that I mentor, because perfect health doesn't exist. We are bombarded by so many toxins and pollutants and stressors these days that are just working against us. And we have to work a little bit harder to stay well, which is frustrating that we need to do that, but it's just true. And you can still help people and share your story and inspire people to take action and find alternative methods of healing, like functional and naturopathic health. Because honestly, the allopathic conventional medical system is failing miserably and it's only getting worse. And I think the last few years have really highlighted that. I potentially want to share my 2023 goals with you all in a separate episode this January. We'll see. Not only to keep myself accountable, but maybe to give you some more ideas and inspiration too. So both in work stuff, health stuff, life stuff in general. I've always found episodes like that personally interesting, so we'll see. But I'm going to leave this episode here because I don't know where to end. I think I've covered the main factors, and some of these subjects I'm going to do a deeper dive into, like I said. But I could keep going on, but I won't, because this past year I packed so much into it and honestly had a great year. But let's hope this year is even better. That's my goal. I'm manifesting. And it's been so fun chatting to you all again. I honestly have missed it so much, and I was just dying for the past few months to get back into it. And I've been so excited and re-inspired, which is always great. As always, I'd love for you to reach out on social media with any topic or guest suggestions, or just come and say hi. But for now, I am going to prep some client calls, do some emails. I'm going to have myself a nice King coffee. Well, it's the afternoon, and yeah, maybe go for a walk later in the day and get some fresh air too. So enjoy the rest of your day wherever you're at in the world, and I'll see you back here next week. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would love for you to leave me a rating and review on your podcast app, as this helps to support the show and it allows it to reach more people with this valuable information. Come and say hi over on Instagram. I'm at Viva Natural Health. And if you haven't already, check out my website, vivanaturalhealth.co.uk, for tons more free resources and to discover how I could support you further. I currently offer one-on-one consultation packages if you want my top level support, then more affordable group programs and self-paced online courses. So there really is something for everyone. If you're ready to change and get some answers but aren't sure which option would be best, take that first step today and apply for a free enrollment call on my website, and we'll discuss the best steps for you to take in order to achieve hormonal harmony. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you back here next week for another episode.